Hello, gentlemen. My name's Paul. I'm the founder of Manifesto, and this is going to be a response to Game B. So just today, I was looking on the Stoa channel, Peter Lindbergh, inspiring guy, lots of good conversations, I think. And I saw a video about an initiation into Game B. And I've heard about this before because I know a group of guys who had a discussion about it recently about the dark renaissance in Game B. So I thought, well, let's check this out, see what it is. And so it's this video about this kind of like Matrix-like experience of a young woman getting a kind of awakening experience and seeing how she's been playing Game A her whole life and now being able to play like in a totally different narrative or worldview. And I thought it was a really well-made film. I really like the kind of storytelling aspect of it, and kind of had this broad sweep of history. And there were some really good things. I appreciate, you know, they kind of identify like the main culprit of everything that's wrong in the world today is this kind of like expansionist, growth-based economy that we have, and that if we move to a more kind of like sustainable, integrated, interconnected, collaborative mindset, then everything's going to be great and beautiful. And I thought, yeah, this is really nice and cute, but ultimately really utopian. I think it started with a very utopian understanding of human history, which kind of like looked back at like, you know, early tribal life. And it was all about like, oh yeah, human beings have always been these like, you know, collaborative, connected to nature and totally integrated beings and stuff like that. And it's just not the case, unfortunately. It's a very unrealistic understanding, you know, basically, you know, rape and murder and pillaging and war have always been an integral part of human experience. You know, in the biblical story, like, you know, the two brothers, basically the first one, like they killed each other, the very first brothers of the biblical story. And I think that's a reflection of human nature. You know, it's just, and the Bible is full of stories of rape and death and murder. And if we look at anthropological studies as well of, you know, like human remains from early primitive societies, we can see like massive amounts. I think, you know, there's studies that show 30–40% of people died through, you know, violence, you know, being hit by blunt instruments on the head was a very, very typical way of dying earlier. So I think this just, you know, underlines how this Game B thing has some really nice ideas, and it's really good kind of like superficial culture thing, but it doesn't get to the roots of, you know, what are the issues of that are, you know, driving the problems in society today. And I think for me, what's at the core of it is dealing with the problem of the human propensity towards violence and how we use violence as a way of resolving issues. And until you've done that, then, you know, this kind of thing is going to continue to plague society. So I think, you know, if you look at, you know, where we were 2,000 years ago, we had the Roman Empire, which was very much like the rod of iron kind of way of implementing control over an empire, right? And so they just basically invaded people, killed all the resistance, and then enslaved the populations there and dominated them, used their power, you know, their workforce to live a good and comfortable life. Somewhere along the line, then, you know, what happens? Well, 2,000 years ago, we have Christ that got born. And you know, there's a very deep idea when it comes to this thing of violence that I think is very little bit understood in the Christian story and the Christian kind of like function that it's had in society today around violence, especially because this has been you know, the way that we've dealt with violence as society is through rituals, rituals which kind of like encapsulate and channel our propensity towards violence. And so, you know, what is the core of Christianity in its original form? I'm not talking about today where Christianity has become, you know, all kinds of weird and wonderful things, often about like social justice or politics or moralizing and telling people how they should be living their lives. But the very core of Christianity really is contained in the Eucharist. And the Eucharist, well, what's that? That means that once a week, you gather together with all your friends, and then you ritually kill God. And then I'm going to say this bluntly because, you know, just it's lost its effect, but this is what we're doing really. You're killing God, and then you're eating his flesh and drinking his blood. That's what the Eucharistic celebration is about. And you celebrate this, and by, you know, taking Christ into yourself, God, you become more like him. And so, you know, it's ritualized cannibalism or deicide and cannibalism in a ritual manner every single week. and this has had this function of actually creating probably the most stable, safe, and peaceful society that we've had ever in human history, which has, increasingly been so. It's not like it's been a totally smooth ride. It's not going to continue to be a smooth ride. But yeah, this is that's the way that it's worked. And so as people are kind of like going all kinds of different other approaches, and this game B thing is just another humanist approach, which is trying to kind of like put down some roots into the religious layer of humankind in some ways, and they're doing it in a kind of like a sweet computer gamesy little way with like a chief and a matriarch and a sage who are imparting wisdom, and so I like that, but it's just like, it's like no pagan tribes, they didn't have this understanding of the interconnectedness of all things and the need for, organic collaboration. It was really, about you and your tribe. And there's always going to be that competition, mimetic desire, René Girard, or whatever you want to talk about, right? So they've kind of made this little pagan cult on Christian values, but because it doesn't have that connection down to the deep ritual aspect of the human propensity to violence, it's probably not going to go very far than being a nice idea that's going to like flow around on the internet a little bit. But, especially as we're seeing war coming to Europe, then, there are other things that people are going to be realizing we need to get in contact with. So that was my response to game B and the ideas put forward there. Yeah, thanks.